do something. When you're lying in the floor, the secret is be compassionate with yourself. Yeah, it's okay. You don't know how to do it. Yeah, that really hurt. A lot of things got you here that weren't fair. And that was a big one for me. This isn't fair. Why am I having to do this? Why couldn't my mom do this? And then you do something. You go and you take the next step. You do something that's difficult for you. And then you take that moment to celebrate what you did, and you don't keep pushing for the sake of pushing. You do the thing, and then you recognize what it opened up in you. You recognize what softened. You recognize if your heart is a little more open to the next thing. And if not, then you pivot and you do something different next time. You experiment. You make mistakes. That's what resilience is.
Hello and welcome to episode 159 of Toward a Better Life. This is your host, Kevin Pennell. And thank you, dear listener, for always tuning in to the program. Regardless of where in the world you may be, our lives can flow with a natural rhythm, a natural flow of life to ultimately aim to balance. And this is part of a secret of Toward a Better Life, going with the flow in the rhythm of life. That's also performed through implementing balance, harmony, compassion, kindness into our lives, personally, culturally, and spiritually. This all begins with each one of us as individuals. And I like to share these concepts on the podcast from around the world, seeking others of the same spirit, heart, and mind. And though through the applications of many of these insights and teachings, we can be better souls, spirits, and true human beings that continue a journey toward wholeness and harmony, not only for ourselves, but for the generations to come. I also offer you the opportunity to share your prose, music, poetry, or storytelling on the program. Please subscribe to the program if you haven't done so already through your favorite podcast platform, and keep following for weekly magical insights into earth-based spirituality and self-development and self-care. Also, remember to support Toward a Better Life on the show by leaving your review on Apple and Spotify podcasts. It just takes a minute to do that. And visit my website, towardabetterlife.com. You can contact me to learn more about a free discovery call through that website. Then that'll help you on your own journey, along with some other episodes that are there, learning opportunities and services that I offer outside the podcast, plus a few accessories to assist you on your own journey. Contact me through my website or send inquiries to kevin@towardabetterlife.com. So, Imbolc was celebrated recently, and I still reflect on part of the message of Imbolc, and that message is optimism. Imbolc says, spring is coming, darkness is giving way to light, and that's optimism, if we can just keep our eyes on the journey and not give up. The message that positive results like spring will occur, informally speaking, hang in there. In spite of perceived challenges and difficulties, we will and are recovering from winter's grip of adversity. And the capacity to recover from adversity and adapt to difficult situations is resilience. And that, in and of itself, is a very powerful message. And the message of resilience emerges as we focus this week's episode toward that very subject with my guest, Ashana Kaiulani. Now, Ashana is a trauma support specialist and reclamation coach whose work is rooted in helping women remember who they are after deep emotional pain or betrayal. She's the founder of Way Home Wellness and host of the Reclamation Room podcast, where she shares real, grounded conversations about self-trust, healing, and coming home to yourself. Now, her work, though rooted in helping women navigate toward their own better life, can be applied to all of us when it is there, and when it is there for us to learn more about resilience. Please welcome my guest, Ashana Kaiulani, as we discuss reflections on resilience. So today I'm talking with Ashana Kaiulani. Did I get that right?
Close, Kaiulani.
Okay. Welcome to the program, Ashana. Where are you located and how are you doing today?
I'm in Alabama. and I'm doing pretty well. It's cold here. It was 70 degrees yesterday and 20 degrees last night. So emotional whiplash over the weather, but otherwise
I,
good.
I feel, can I say pain? Oh, well, it would be if you stayed out there long enough and sat there with, there would be a little thing called frostbite, I think would kick in at
Oh
some
yeah.
point because
Yeah.
it was a balmy 16 degrees this morning with snow, dusting of snow outside here in North Carolina. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
At least it goes away. Up
Yeah.
north, it doesn't go away.
I know. I know. Small mercies.
And then because the podcast is listened to as you know as a podcaster that it's listened to around the world, and we've got people in the southern hemisphere going, right, mate, you know what
I
it's like down here? It's
know.
like 36 degrees Celsius. It breaks out at about 115 degrees.
My
Yeah,
Canadian friends think I'm hilarious.
I bet they do. So, anyway, just a quick little thing here, a short bit that I want you to do is, if you would, Ashana, tell us a little bit about yourself, and we can just kind of wing it from there and see where we go. So, what made you who you are as a reclamation coach, author, podcast host, and speaker, helping people reclaim their sense of self?
Oh my goodness. I feel like that's a lot of things. Holy cow. Um, Good question. What made me who I am?
There you go.
I love that. I love that. So, I did tell you I've been through traumatic experiences, and for a
Hmm.
long time, that was my identity. That was my story. And I think what made me who I am is coming through that and really sitting with the experience of that was my identity for a long time. That was really painful. And it caused a lot of really painful things in my life, which perpetuated that identity. And I think it was finally getting to the point of like, I don't want to be this way anymore. Instead of being angry or bitter at all the people that I see happy out there, I want to be one of those people.
Hmm.
And, call it resilience, call it strength, call it courage, call it creativity, whatever you would call it. That, I think that energy is what really helped me be who I am. And I personally believe that it was picking pieces of the people that I love, the people that I admire, the people that I look up to, and saying, huh, well, they did this or they shared this with me. I want to try it. I want to see how it feels. So I think it's all the people that I love and all the ideas and experiences that helped come together and make me who I am. And looking back, I don't think I would change any of it, even the hard things, because it's gotten me where I am and I have the insights I do and I have the love that I do for people. So, I feel like that's who I am. I'm here to love people and experience what's next.
That's a that's a good way of that's a good viewpoint that you've got there. I would stick with it if I were you. It seems to be working pretty well.
It's
So
happier.
yeah, it is. And how often do we hear the stories? I heard something earlier today, and I can't remember where it was, what podcast it was, or where I read it, but nonetheless, it was along the same lines that even the negative stuff matters because it depends how do you come out of that negative stuff? How do you move forward in spite of that negative stuff? And then you realize if you turn it over, it's not negative at all. It's just positive, but it's a different way of looking at it because it was there for a reason. You know,
Yep.
and you had mentioned here a minute ago, just in the outset, even some of the people that we come in contact with, and we wonder, why am I putting up with this? Why am I listening to this? And what we need to do maybe is turn it around and say, not what, but why, and what can I learn, and what, because it goes back to that same stuff, and I've mentioned it I don't know how many times and heard it mentioned so I don't know how many times. No one comes into our life by accident.
Yep. Yes. And everything can teach us something or benefit us in some way. In
Yep.
some way.
Yeah.
And I promise you, like this actually came up in my life recently in conversation with a friend. And in conversation with myself, I had to get real and say, like, this situation that's annoying you. Do you really think those people are here to reflect back to you that they're annoying? Or are they
Mm.
reflecting back to you that you're annoyed? What's the actual problem here? Like,
That's yeah.
what do you have control over?
Oh, I know what part of it was. Part of it was the blog that I'm writing. That's also going to be. I've been doing some solo events on my podcast about maybe once a month, and I think about stuff like that. Why is this happening, and what can I learn? And that's what I need to do. And it all begins with a little action, and that action is breath.
Mm,
Pause and breathe, and then maybe I can look at something from a more objective standpoint rather than
mhm.
reactive.
Oh yeah.
And we keep going back to the optic of traffic on the highway. What can I do differently? Just on the way here today, you had some silly people out there doing really silly things, and I'm going, you do realize that you could cause a wreck, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's in their mind. What's on their mind is the end of the journey. And we can really go down that rabbit hole, can't we?
That's a
Yeah.
good metaphor.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we were brought up in the sense of a lot of competitive stuff in life. We're always looking at the finish line, and we never look and we never stop long enough to look at the journey
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah. And we're taught about winning and losing also,
Yep.
and values and good and bad. And we even
Hmm.
take that on ourselves in terms of like, well, if I made this mistake, now I'm bad. So I have to go and perform and then I'll be good again. And it's like, what if we just take away those values for a minute and just sit with how things feel?
Hmm.
Does it feel like something that you want to carry forward with you into your life? You don't have to demonize it, villainize it, whatever. Maybe it just doesn't feel good for you, and that's okay. That may not
Yeah.
mean it's bad for everyone.
It's just not for you.
It's not for you, and that's
And
okay.
I had that conversation today. I told,
Really?
yeah, I told somebody about some of the stuff that I've done before in my earlier life, and people that listen to my podcast know that I've got a degree in theology. And there was a time that I was the guy in the pulpit and stuff like that, and that's fine. I don't regret, like, I'm going to use your words, I'm not going to regret it. I don't regret it at all, because it was a purpose for me to be there at that given time, and I get that. And I even went so far as to explain, because of the situation I was facing, what brought that up. And I don't need to go into that, but it was just a matter of, it doesn't fit for me. I'm not against anyone that needs to go to church. I'm not.
Mhm.
If you need to go to church 7 days a week for your level of spirituality, I am not making fun of that. I think, bravo, you're
Yeah.
dedicated to that, and you need to move forward with that until something changes. And that's okay too. So we beat ourselves up in the process of trying to manifest resilience in our life. And we think about these different stories, and stories come to my mind. I'm sure stories come to yours as well, Ashana, of situations where people had, I'm going to say it, had a rotten life by any measure of the term. And now they have been given a wonderful gift. It can be a new family, it can be a new job, it can be whatever. And yet they're allowing that old stuff to hang over them like a dark cloud. And that is going to create some issues, I think, with the resilience part. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think that we carry our own expectations of what it should look like, for one. I think that we can heap shame onto ourselves because we're not where we should be. And I think we can also do kind of the opposite of that, where we externalize it and get really mad at the external situations and the people and the places and the situations that got us here. And one really important thing that came up for me listening to you talk about how now we've been given this gift and now we have these awesome things and we're carrying that weight. When I was going through what I was going through, people would tell me, "You're so strong. You've been through so much. You've been through more than most adults should have to deal with, even as a child." And that became an identity for me. It became the I'm strong. I've been through so much. And so as I was living a life where I was getting these new gifts, I still had dreams. I still had things that I wanted to accomplish. We could go into the reasons for that another time. Was I really doing it because that's what I really wanted, or was it what someone else wanted? Regardless, I have these beautiful things. And I didn't even see it along the way because I was still trying to live up to that. you're so strong. You've been through so much. And so, on the one hand, I was closed off to emotions because I had to keep being strong and I had to keep functioning. That's what everyone expected of me. That's when I was being the good girl. But on the other hand, I was mad. I'm so tired of being strong. I don't want to be strong. I want someone else to be strong. Someone needs to take care of me. This isn't fair. What are you talking about? And so it's like this paradox that we find ourselves in. And all of that, the result is that it keeps you from really seeing what you have that's beautiful. That is the weight that we carry. And it's not just what happened to us that we're carrying, it's all the feelings wrapped up about what happened to us, about how we've processed it, about how it's manifested in our life, about how other people are now viewing us, all of it. It all becomes just this heavy thing that is truly felt. It's truly sensed in your life.
So what I'm thinking about when I think about the two words redefining resilience is first off the aha moment for you. When was that? When you really realized that, okay, resilience could be my answer. Was there any
Hmm.
particular instant that you recall, anything in particular that, I mean, I've looked at your background and we could go down a dozen different rabbit holes. But
We
which,
could.
what one thing do you think really said to, to Ashana in the past that says, I need to do something about this. I need to
Hmm.
change this.
Hmm. So this is going to apply for people who have been a parent, but I want to say that it can also, you can extrapolate this out. It's not just parenting. Mine was. And I remember I had small children and they had needs and they had emotions. And I had been raised that children should be seen and not heard. You're obedient. Emotions are bothersome, right? Like your parents don't want to deal with that. Go do them somewhere else and then get back in line and do what you need to do. And so for a while, I've felt the same way about my children. And as I started finally opening up to this isn't how I want to live, this doesn't feel right, something's got to change, but I don't
Mm.
know what. There was a day where my kids were extra emotional. They had extra needs that day. And it really occurred to me that them being so needy, they were coming to me for connection. They were coming to me for answers. They were coming to me for closeness. And I was pushing that away, and all of their emotional responses were worsened by me pushing them away. And I had this epiphany of like, holy crap, my reactions have caused more of this in them. This is all on me. All of my own baggage that I've been carrying, I'm making them carry it now just to make me feel better in the moment. You would think that that would be an aha moment that would wake me up and make me want to change. No, the actual aha moment was when that was too much for me. And for a moment, I was like, I see now why we ended up in the foster care system because my mom couldn't do this. I understood in that moment what my mom went through and why she was addicted to drugs and why she couldn't do it and why she gave up. And then I laid in the floor and I sobbed because I had no idea how to meet these kids' needs. I had no idea how to meet my own needs. And I said, it's not fair. And I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. This is too much. It hurts too badly. And I called a dear friend and I said, I need help. Tell me what to do. You're a parent, you're a mom, your son is grown. This is what I'm facing. And the words that she shared with me changed my life. She said, Ashana, I get it. It's really hard. And you're now dealing with the consequences of the parenting that you don't want to be that way. I get it. You were mean. They're lashing out. They're upset. You're holding space. It's a lot. Here's what you do. I said, okay, I'm ready. This is gonna be so helpful. Oh my gosh. And she said, you go do it anyway. You go do it anyway. You don't want to play with your kids. Oh, you don't know how to play because you didn't get to play when you were a child, and now your kids want you to play with them, and you're crying in the floor because you don't want to play with your kids. You go do it. You're a parent. You go do it. And that to me had never been an option. I don't know why. I don't know why just doing the hard thing had not been an option, but it was like someone had finally given me permission to do the hard thing and say, this really sucks and I don't want to do this. Someone validated that for me. But up until that point, I had been hiding from the hard thing because I didn't know how to do it.
So the secret to resilience is go do it anyway.
Do do something. Do something. When you're lying in the floor, the secret is be compassionate with yourself. Yeah, it's okay. You don't know how to do it. Yeah, that really hurt. A lot of things got you here that weren't fair, and that was a big one for me. This isn't fair. Why am I having to do this? Why couldn't my mom do this? And then you do something. You go and you take the next step. You do something that's difficult for you. And then you take that moment to celebrate what you did and you don't keep pushing for the sake of pushing. You do the thing and then you recognize what it opened up in you. You recognize what softened. You recognize if
Mm.
your heart is a little more open to the next thing. And if not, then you pivot and you do something different next time. You experiment. You make mistakes. That's what resilience is.
I think I've heard something similar to this, paraphrase it, that it's not how many times you have failed, it's how many times you've gotten up from your failure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Doesn't
see
matter.
that.
You've as long as you keep getting up, that's okay.
Yep.
As long as you take that and apply it to anything. It doesn't matter if it's parenting, if it's working, if it's teaching, if it's writing, if it's running a marathon. It doesn't matter. If you fall over in the middle of the marathon, get up and keep going, you
Yep.
know, and just
Hmm.
keep moving. Yeah, I just said this like 2 weeks ago in an episode that one of the things that really got me with Dick Van Dyke and his 100th birthday is people were asking him, "So, what's the secret to your longevity?" And everybody published the standard thing that most people that are getting on in years say, and that is just keep moving. Just
Hmm.
move, keep moving. But what they didn't say is the other piece, and I think it has as much, if not more value. And it kind of goes into what you were talking about with your kids, is he says, I've not stopped playing.
Yep.
And that says a lot. When he says play, we're not talking about playing golf. We're not talking about, playing at life. No, playing like a kid, like a child. And, and to me, I'm thinking, when you said that, I don't know how to play with my kids. I never played when I was a kid. Well, now is your opportunity, says the
Yeah.
universe. Now
Go
you can learn how
try.
to play.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah. And I had another guest on, 3 years ago, and that's his whole persona is having a playful life, a playful lifestyle.
Oh, wow.
And we can't take life so seriously. We have to learn how to play,
Yeah.
you know. And when I don't know if it's out of context or not, but it just came to mind. We heard about the great teacher, many, many, many. In words, he says, the way if you want to know the way, be like a
Be
child.
like a child again. Yep.
And it's that says so much. It's not just, oh, and I need to be human. Excuse me, I need to show humility, and I have to be quiet. Do you know any humility based children?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing about resilience is like you're taking action and you're doing things, and that in itself is an adventurous spirit.
Hmm.
It is a curious spirit. There has to be the curiosity. And when you think of a child, they're here to do as many things as they can because it's fascinating. This world is new. And with that comes the not getting embarrassed when you make a mistake. You did something that didn't feel good. Okay, so do something different next time. Now you know what a no feels like, but don't shy away from it and stop taking action. And a big, big piece of that is something that I think a lot of us adults miss. And we think that we're getting it right. And I think none of us truly have an idea of how to do it. And that is self-compassion,
Mm.
genuine self-compassion. We have to have that because without it, our curiosity goes away completely. We're terrified.
I can't beat myself up anymore.
I know, right? Our biggest takeaway from this.
What's your takeaway from this episode? Don't beat myself up. Okay.
Done, easy.
That was easy. Now what?
Yeah.
So I'm seeing all kinds of neat words that are coming out here. To me, it's like mind mapping because if we take the word resilience in the middle of it, and now, Ashana, what can we do? What can we build around it? Well, let's see. We've got curiosity. We've got be like a child. Approach life in such a way to not be embarrassed by something, but try a little differently next time. I mean, there's so many possibilities with
Mm-hmm.
this. If you mind
Yeah.
map resilience, I mean, and it could even be an assignment. If you're listening to this, write down the word resilience, look it up in the dictionary, and see how does it apply. And there's magic in doing mind mapping.
Oh
And
yeah. It's
yeah,
like a word association game.
yeah,
And just like go, like don't sit and agonize before you write a word. If a word pops up, write it down and then
yes.
follow that trail. And guess what? That's that adventurous spirit too. We need to do more of that. It's the action taking because when we second guess ourselves, we stop. And when we stop moving, what happens? There's no life. There's no growth. There's no flow.
And that goes back into my nature stuff. That it's an interesting piece to think. If you've ever been around a beaver pond, you'll know that in the beaver pond, within the confines of that pond that they've created, before the dam is their home, but the water is stagnant. It doesn't move.
Hmm.
And it just kind of hangs there. And I this is going to prompt me to look into that a little deeper because my thought is just out beyond that dam. Everything is flowing, everything is moving, life is vibrant, life is alive, and everything is thriving out there. But back here, and you kind of wonder whether or not this is something that's way off in a rabbit hole someplace. But you
It's
you tend
fascinating.
you tend to wonder what do the beavers do to agitate the water? Do they break that thing up every now and again and move it on to a new place because it's too stagnant?
Yeah.
And maybe that's an answer for us. If life gets too stagnant, maybe it's time to break the dam.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or
Find it.
move to a new location.
Yeah, move
Maybe
to a new
find the right
location, but
waters.
don't make the mistake that we've heard so many times before, Ashana, and that is, I'm going to move. That'll make the difference, but I'm still going to act the same way when I get there.
Maybe the internal location,
Okay.
internally orienting, like, okay, maybe bitterness is not where I want to be anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe I can shift my perspective a bit because that's what it was for me. I looked around at people who seemed so happy and I was annoyed. Like, what do these people know that I don't? Like, clearly there's a secret sauce here that I missed out my whole life. I was mad.
Yeah.
And finally, it was like, I don't know. There's a sense of worthiness too. On our mind mapping, we can put worthiness
Yeah.
because I didn't believe deep down that I was worthy of the happiness that those other people had because my lot in life was to just be strong and resilient and keep pushing through and shouldering the burden. So
Yeah.
at some point, it does become a choice of I deserve to be happy too, and I'm going to take
Mm.
action on that. And what does that mean that I might need to change internally?
Yeah. Yeah. So often we think of self-help, self-care, and really caring for ourselves, even the compassionate part. But if we're going through the motions of these things and we just are trying to fix ourselves, that's something else we need to do. That's something we need
Mhm.
to shift because there's a difference between fixing myself and really changing myself.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
want you want this car, excuse me, do you want this car repaired or you want it fixed?
Yes, exactly. You can patch it up and you can just keep going down the road and you're going to have the same problem pop up another, however many miles down the road.
Uh-huh.
Or we can completely change that part out and change the way the entire car is running. It's still the same car. It wasn't worth cashing in just to go do all that. No, like it was worth so much more. It's worth another 100,000 miles now. Like, I love this car. This
Hmm.
car's had so many good memories in it. I'm going to keep riding it out with this car.
I'm gonna have to put you on another podcast. That's all there is to it. It's been asleep for a couple of years. I used to
Oh,
do one
wow.
called the driving experience, but that's it. I mean, people that collect cars, it's the same kind of a thing. There's a guy that I don't mind mentioning it. He doesn't mind it, but is Brian Salgado, and he's in North Carolina also, and his thing is Z3 BMWs, and he does what he calls a factory reset, and that is that you get the Z3 that you have, you bought it, and it has a bunch of little things that are wrong with it. And
Hmm.
what he does is you take this car over there. Now, granted, he doesn't give this service away. It's going to cost you something.
Hmm.
So let's add that into the mix a little bit. That sometimes the fixing, or sometimes the start remembering and be what I need to be, but in the process, change it and understand it can cost me something.
Hmm. Yep.
And you have to weigh it out in your mind. And I'll bet you 90% of the time, we are going to find that regardless of what the cost is going to be, we're going to appreciate the outcome.
Yeah. And appreciate is a good word there because it may not be an outcome that you would choose right now because where you've been might feel more familiar and that
Yeah.
might seem scary, but you'll appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. And there's another magic word, familiarity,
Mhm.
is it's one of the reasons why we don't move forward. Is I would much rather go down this pathway that I know, and I know every little turn and every little
Yep.
pothole and every little thing and every little house, as
Yep.
opposed to this other one that's not too well traveled, and I'm just not sure if that's for me. Well, you
Yep.
don't know if you don't know.
I know. I know. Like I would rather go down this path and fight that same bear because now I know how to fight the bear
Yep.
or the tiger, than go down this path and like, I don't know, there's a new Lamborghini at the end of the path. You wouldn't even know if you didn't get there, right? If for someone who likes Lamborghinis, I don't know why we're on a car kick now. I'm not even a car person, but
I was going to say, you like Lamborghinis, don't you?
no, but it does call to mind a game that we played in elementary school, and I was always on the Lamborghini team because it just sounds cool, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Lamborghini. I'm
Lamborghini.
gonna drive a Lambo. But yeah, you're absolutely right though, because if we if we believe that we can handle what's on that familiar path, then it becomes easier to shoulder that burden over time, and that can feel like resilience. I'm so resilient because I keep handling this.
Ooh. So is there such a thing as fake resilience?
I think there might be in the same way that there's like false humility.
Mm.
I think that we don't do it on purpose, likely.
No, no, no. But it's that comfort factor. It's that thing that
Hmm.
says, well, I'm trying, and I know what I need to do, and but I really don't want to because that's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it hurts,
Yep.
and I'm not discounting to to go out there and get hurt. I'm not advocating that in any way, shape, or form. But to understand that at some point I might get hurt,
Hmm.
and what's the difference between staying on the ground, feeling sorry for myself after I've hurt myself, and getting up and making
Yeah.
the best of it.
Yeah.
Because now I've learned something new.
Hmm.
Now I've gotten to use your term. Now I've been able to really see and manifest the adventuresome spirit that does live within me. And
Yeah.
it helps me to start remembering who I've been all along.
Yes. Yeah. The whole time. And it opens up joy. It opens up wonder. And I say really that there's like three parts to this, just conceptualizing self-awareness, which again, we all think we have it. And we do. We're humans. We're self-aware. We have that ability, but are we aware of the belief systems that have been informing our decisions? Are we aware of the patterns and where they came from? Because when we have that awareness, then we have choice. We can let
Mm,
go of the ones that we don't want to. And so, in order to start making those changes and taking those steps, the self compassion, that's step two. Self awareness, self compassion, Treat yourself the way that you would treat someone who you love and value and cherish if they were going to be making these changes. Be gentle with yourself. Give yourself pep talks. Believe in yourself. Believe you're worthy. And then the final piece is self validation.
Mm.
Don't, like we said before, don't beat yourself up if you make a mistake. Don't think that your ideas are stupid because it didn't have the outcome you thought it would. That's where the resilience comes into being, into manifestation, because now we're validating our experience. Yeah, that was hard. That sucked. But also we're validating we took a step here and that was good. We learned something. Like that's awesome. I can totally keep doing this. And always stay with that self-awareness so that it doesn't become like talking yourself up in a way of like you're out here hurting people now, you know? Be aware. Be aware of the patterns that you're bringing forward with you.
Those are three good things to go by all the time to me, I think. Self-awareness, self-compassion, self-validation. If we have those things in my head, those are actually some questions I can ask myself. If I'm
Mhm.
really having a difficult time, if I've that decision to redefine myself and really move forward with my resilience, and then all of a sudden this stuff, I'm cleaning it up, this stuff starts to get in my path, and instead of giving up, take a breath and exercise some self-awareness. So what's really going on here? What am I missing? And then self-compassion. It's okay. This is new territory to you. You need to love yourself and care for yourself. You must be because you're trying to do this.
Mhm.
And then validate it and saying, I really can. This is doable. I
Yep.
can do this. And
Yep.
you look back at it afterward and you say, huh, I did it.
That is resilience. Think about how that feels at the end of that process versus shouldering the same burdens, carrying the same weight, having the same relational patterns with people, the starts and the stops. Like, I don't know why I am this way, but I keep doing these things. Think about how it feels to go to sleep feeling that each night. It self perpetuates.
Yeah, it does. And if we keep moving, if we keep trying, and if we keep sticking with the concept of resilience in my life, that's when the change can really develop more so. And we find ourselves maybe in situations where it says, "Hey, I did that. What about this?"
Yes. Yeah. Like, wow, I'm so much stronger than I thought I was.
Yeah, yeah. Because I tried in the first place instead of just taking it, every time. You have a magic little terminology that I like that I'd see here is peaceful accountability method.
Yep.
What is that? Does that go hand in hand with this?
Yeah,
Wink,
yeah,
wink, nudge, nudge.
absolutely. Yeah. So the three steps that I just told you, that's the big picture of the peaceful accountability method. Within each of those steps, of course, there's like different themes that can come into play. And so where does shame and guilt fit into that?
Hmm.
Where do boundaries fit into that? You know, where does the inner critic fit into that? And how
Oh
are we
yeah.
going to combat that? But when you kind of orient yourself to what's happening here, right? We're doing that self-awareness piece. Then you can bring in what do I need here? Do I want to keep feeling this way? How do I handle this situation? Self-compassion. I'm meeting my own needs here. And then self-validation looks like, wow, like I didn't realize that I was carrying all of that stuff. And that actually was really difficult. But more than difficult, it was forging something. What is this building in me? And what was it covering over also? Like, wow, I forgot about these passions. I forgot about all of this. And that is what it means to be accountable for your own life because I believe that we're all here to be an expression of something and it's different for every person. And I believe that's informed by your passions. It's informed by what you get joy from doing. And when we're being accountable to ourselves, we're also accountable to that. You deserve joy too. You deserve relation too. And we need to do that peacefully. And how can we do that peacefully? Well, we can stop beating ourselves up. We can
Hmm.
stop shouldering the burden just because we think that's what resilience is.
Do you suppose resilience is too that thing we talked about a little bit ago? and that is just the matter of pausing for the moment rather than moving forward regardless. That maybe it's
Hmm.
time that I need to stop for a second and really look at what's going on.
Yep.
If I keep getting hurt by going down this one pathway, then maybe I need to look at this pathway.
Yep.
If I keep failing doing this one particular thing, then maybe it's not wrong to do it, but maybe we need to approach it from a different angle. And I think a lot of it is perpetuated by the lifestyle that we have
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and in the 21st century that everything is so fast. We can't even keep up with it. It is mind-boggling the stuff that's going on. I talked with somebody today about AI and we
Hmm.
talked about other stuff. It is just like, man, this stuff is incredible. And to think about all the technology that's around us and we're controlled
Hmm.
only if we let it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there's a wonderful bunch of technology out there, but we need to use it as tools. So what am I getting at is to remember for us not to necessarily get caught in the web of the society that we live in, the culture that we live in, but learn how to dance on it and
Hmm.
learn that I can move around it, over it, through it, and above all else, I can stop moving. I know that contradicts what we talked about earlier, but as far as movement is concerned, but sometimes we should be quiet and we
To figure
should
out your next move.
figure out your next move. We
Yeah.
just moved past the winter solstice, and the winter solstice time tells us it's a time to go within. It's a time to really examine what's going on inside of me. And that's the magic of this time of year. Because we're in quote quote, we think about in the northern hemisphere, we think of ourselves being in darkness at this time of year. We sleep longer, the
Yep.
days are shorter, we have all this stuff, and people are suffering from SAD,
Hmm.
seasonal affective disorder. And
Hmm.
we get ourselves all messed up with this stuff. And yet one of the things that's amazing, even if I'm not really leaving it, but in the yin and yang theory, if you look at the yin and yang symbols, with every darkness, there's a little spot of light.
Yeah.
And that's what we can remember is that in spite of this time of introspection and self-examination, and use this time well to see what can I do to create, I'll use it to create a better life for myself and have my eyes on life around me, but also it's okay to have my eyes on that line, that finish line that I'm thinking about is spring
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
Imbolc. That's the beginning of it.
Yep.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
just keep an
And
eye on the light.
a reminder too that for some people at some times, and this is seasonal, of course, this can change. Sometimes doing that next thing, like for me in that moment, it was go play with your kids. Go
Hmm.
do, okay? Sometimes doing that hard thing, sometimes just taking that one next step is you need to pause. It is you need to reassess. It is you need to take a look at your boundaries here. You need to
Hmm.
take a look at your priorities here.
Yeah.
Where's your energy going? That's doing something too. And at the risk of making everything sound like it has to be doing and making progress, because how society is, it's fast moving. At the risk of using that language, I'll just say that movement is life, yes, but movement without any coherent direction feels like chaos.
And it doesn't. It is.
So no wonder we're overwhelmed. No wonder everything feels heavy. So there's also that presence, that taking that breath, and that comes into that self-awareness piece. We have to have that before we can take the next step.
That's for sure. So, switching just a little bit, the word trauma. You've been through trauma, and I'm thinking trauma is really, in my mind, I'm going to use the term it's gradient depending on the individual, because trauma for me may be entirely different for trauma with Ashana.
For
It
sure.
probably is. So when we think of the word trauma, is it is it de it's debilitating, isn't it?
Mm, that's a
And
good
what
one.
else is it?
It convinces us a lot of times that we're not worthy. Like we
Mm-hmm.
said before, it's a wound. It's something that hurts.
Yeah.
How do you handle your hurts?
Uh-huh. And what are some ways we can overcome the trauma? I'm thinking certainly resilience is part of that,
Hmm.
is pick ourselves up and say, I I understand. I'm hurting right now, but I know, as cliche as it may be, things are going to get better.
Yeah.
And as someone who's been there, what what would be one of the best things that you could recommend to someone who's been through trauma? There's
Well,
a
I'll
lot of things.
say there,
There's
yeah,
a lot.
there's so
There's
many
so many.
things. But I'll say, you know, yes, it does get better. But even when we're in that moment where we've been carrying that heavy weight and we've been what we felt was resilient, sometimes it feels like it's not going to get better. Or even if it does, what's the point? Because these things can chip away at us and erode our sense of meaning. And so I will just remind here that trauma is like a wound and that wounds need to be tended to. They need to be cared for. And not all wounds need to be treated the same way. Sometimes they need fresh air.
Hmm.
Sometimes they need to be covered. Sometimes they need to be held. And I think, again, in our society, a lot of times we're very quick to medicate to make the pain stop and to make the wound go away as fast as possible. But just a reminder that when we do that, a lot of times we're putting toxins into our liver, and now our liver has to do more things. So it's more strain on us. So sometimes caring for trauma really means how can I lessen the burden that I'm carrying inside of myself and do it in a way that's not going to hurt myself even more? There's that self compassion. And do I need to outsource? Do I
Hmm.
need help with this? Maybe I don't know how to carry this. And so resilience also is not just carrying the burden alone. Sometimes it's reaching out for help from someone who has been there or who does have wisdom to share. And that's a very connecting and relational way to look at it. But I believe the no man is an island. We don't want to be. We're not here for that.
They've had studies about that, and they talk about, we can we can do without water for X number of days. We can do without food for X number of days. Well,
Yeah.
one of the things they talk about is it's a lot quicker than some people think. You can
Mhm.
only be by yourself just so long,
Yeah.
or you can totally lose it. And you know, we hear about these people that, go up on the mountaintop and they throw on their robes and they go into meditation, and that's fine. I get that. But they were in a different space than I am right now, where they could do something like that. Doesn't
Yeah.
say that I can't, doesn't say that I want to. It's just that in their path, it was time for them to do that. And what you just said a little bit ago about outsourcing, and I think about, outsourcing is a time to gather your tribe.
Yeah.
And who are the people that you know? You said that, when you went through the matter with the kids and you just didn't know what to do, you went and you called somebody that you trusted.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what we need to do. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that Ashana failed by reaching out. Good grief, Ashana, you can handle
I
this, for crying
know.
out loud. What's wrong with you?
Worst mom award.
Ding, you get it. It's all there, but it's just redefining that resilience and saying, so the listener says, okay, Kevin, okay, Ashana, you've talked about how you're doing all this resilient stuff. What's the magic to resilience? And it's just doing, moving forward. Don't stop. Don't beat yourself up. Have some self-awareness, have some self-compassion, have some self-validation. All that works together. But the other thing that I think about is sometimes, and I've mentioned this a few times, that we want everything to be we want to charge right in there and fix everything all at once. It
Yeah.
doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So if you're in the midst of that trauma and you're trying to fix the wound, I mean, if you have a physical wound on your body, it's a cut. You need to know that there are steps you go through to heal that wound. First thing is you need to clean it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes if it's been there long enough, you might have to reopen it and let it bleed. There's a
Yes.
lot of different things you need to do in order to heal, allow that healing to take place. And sometimes you're just the facilitator of the healing because the skin is doing its thing. You're just watching it.
Yes, it will do what it's here to do. Your body wants to keep you alive, wants to keep you thriving. And so we're not just moving forward for movement's sake. We're
Yes.
not saying just, that's fine, just keep going, just keep going. We're saying you might be dealing with a wound here. If this has been heavy for you and you've felt the need to shoulder this burden, look at the resilience that you've been thinking you were having and let's shift it a little bit. What does this wound possibly need from you to take that next step and move forward and feel a little better, to heal a little bit? Does it need air? Does it need to be opened up and cleaned out? Take the next step that's going to be self aware, self compassionate, and self validating because the steps that you've been taking forward, here's the thing, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
That's a good indicator.
Yeah. When I talk with people about their physical bodies, they have a particular issue that they're dealing with, say it's a shoulder or what have you. And I will tell them, you need to try this stretch or this movement or whatever to help that heal and to help
Yeah.
that work out and stuff like that. And they'll say, well, how often should I do it? That's a very typical thing. It's a valid question. And my typical response is if it's really inflamed, is I tell them, you want to try this exercise or this movement or this whatever it is 5 times. 5 times a day. It's all I want you to do. But what I want you to do is after you've done that thing 5 times, is check in with your body and how do you feel?
Hmm.
Because if it hurts, you know what that tells you? You did too much.
Yeah.
What you mean I can't do 5? Guess not. Don't beat yourself up. Do 2,
Hmm.
do 3. Just don't do 5 and don't do them so hard. You know,
Yeah.
and but we want but Kevin, I want it all now. Well, you're not going to get it all now. That's just the way it is.
And
Is
you
that
brought up
is
a really important point is that as humans, we do this. We look to someone else to tell us, what should I do? Just tell me what to do and I'll do it.
mm-hmm.
But as humans, a lot of times we also get told what we should do and then we're like, oh, I don't want to do that. What else can I do? Can I do something faster?
Yeah, yeah. That's it. We could have a lot of fun with that one.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
How compliant are you? Well, are you doing those stretches? Well, I did. Great. You did one. That's awesome. You didn't, and that's the other piece. At least you did. At least you tried. Now
Yeah.
just add another one.
Yep. Do the
And
next
then,
thing.
yeah, and then add another one and just keep moving along. Just moving
Yeah.
along.
We live in a world that makes everything so comfortable, and yet everybody is miserable. And I say everybody, that's a very broad term, but like if you
You-
think about it,
But you're right. I want to be comfortable.
right. And how is everyone feeling? Look at the state of things. And so the obvious answer has got to be, okay, so then do some things that are a little less comfortable and
Yeah.
see how that feels. Test it, test the theory, get curious.
Yeah. Yeah. That's you find out your boundaries and you find out your limitations and you also find out your strengths.
Yes.
But that
Yep.
that brings me to one other thought, and that is I think about it as academics versus action. Now we've talked about a lot of really good ideas here.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
and there's a lot of good principles here. They're wonderful principles. Everybody should be writing some of these things down or replaying or whatever. It's dynamic and wonderful stuff to think about redefining resilience and how we go about doing it. But if all we do is talk about it and we don't do anything with it,
Yep.
that's also an error. It's a big error
Yeah.
because I can make myself look good. I can make myself look resilient. I can do all this stuff. And then I go in the privacy of my home or I go in the privacy of my den or I go outside and I feel like crap
Yeah. Yeah.
because all I'm doing is I'm putting on an act or I think I know all this stuff, but my question is, do you really?
Hmm. Hmm.
Have you really sought to apply it? And I'm saying that to myself.
Yeah. And a question there would be like, who are you being resilient for then?
Mm,
What's
yeah.
what's the motive here? Is this performative? Is this something that you
Mm,
you feel like you should be doing for someone else? Let's go
yeah.
back to that self. Awareness. There's a reason why all three steps of the peaceful accountability method start with self. And that's not selfish. That's because you're trapped in this body for this lifetime. You might as well make friends with this person.
I love that. You're trapped in this body for this lifetime. You might as well make fun, make friends with
Yeah,
it.
make it fun. Make it so it's not a trap and it's like, wow, I can do so many things because without this ability to perceive these things, I mean, you could just be a blade of grass,
Yeah,
but you're not. You're a human.
yeah,
So who are you being resilient for?
yeah, yeah. Accept yourself as you are, including all the farts and flowers.
Yeah.
That's okay. We need to just be yourself. You mentioned it before again, and that is that, you know, when it comes to rebuilding myself and I need to come home to myself, start by remembering who I've been all along
Hmm.
and ask yourself, do you know who you are?
Yeah. I
So,
had the love doctor on my show, and he told me something that's really applicable here, I think. He said, if someone hands you $100, how much money did they give you? $100. Okay. They take that back, they crumple it up, they write on it, they make it ugly, they wet it a little bit, they hand it back to you. Well, when that dries, how much money do you have? You have $100. So all these things happen to this dollar bill, but it's still worth $100. And the same thing applies to you. The day you were born, the world rejoiced because you took breath. That's amazing. That's a miracle. You fought through a lot just to become from the cells that you were to the cells that you are. And just because of the things that happened to you, that doesn't mean that you have any less value. You may just look a little different on the outside. You may have gotten a little wet. That's okay. You still have the
I've
same
lost hair.
value.
Trying to grow it back. It's all in the back of my head. I don't.
I see that now.
Oh well. So this has been a joy. I truly appreciate this. So when you when you're doing your coaching work and so forth, and you have a book, I didn't even realize that you're an author, for crying out loud. So tell us a little bit more about this. Tell us about Ashana as the author, and then let's move on to the other stuff about how people get in touch and so forth.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I'll say here, I'm about to start blushing. I forgot I put author. So that's a new thing.
Oh,
I've been
do we need to discuss this about
We
whether or
can
not
discuss it. That's okay. That's okay. I've actually been featured in poetry anthologies since high school, so that part is not new. But I have my own book of poetry called The Way Home, and it's just a collection of poems for people who maybe forgot their light along the way.
hmm.
And it's not available for purchase yet,
Ah,
but it's in the process of becoming the physical book. So that's cool. That's exciting. Um, but I also am working on an actual book, like a nonfiction. I guess it would be in the self-help, and it's called Ditch the Diagnosis.
okay.
So that will be coming soon. Shauna as the author. I completely forgot I put that on there.
Ditch the what?
Ditch the Diagnosis.
Thank you. Okay. So, and then the other stuff. So you're a reclamation coach, so you have a practice and you help people with creating a life for themselves. It's a lot more fruitful and filled with wonderful new discoveries about themselves. So, how do they get in touch with you for doing this?
Yeah. So my website is wayhomewellness.com.
Hmm. Okay.
So everything I do, it's through the name The Way Home, Way Home Wellness. And the idea is that the way home is to yourself. It's been there all along. So we're just going to unearth that and it's a journey together. So everything of my coaching and of my work is on that website.
Okay. And your podcast is
The Reclamation Room.
okay. And is it weekly? Is it how often do you? Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
weekly right now. I think we're going to start doing 2 episodes a week though, because we've had requests for more solo episodes. I've had a lot of guests on in season 1. So I think season 2 in the new year, we're going to have more solo episodes. So probably 2 a week. And it's on Spotify, Apple, Substack, YouTube.
Okay. Good. What do you do to create a better life for yourself, Ashana?
Oh, wow.
You
Day to
knew it was coming.
day.
You've listened to my podcast.
I know. And yet it still like hit me at the end. I'm like, holy cow, this is a big one. Day to day, I do my very, very, very best to be present. That's
Mm,
it. I'm present. If something is a really difficult moment, I try not to spiral out and let that take my day. I'm present in that moment. I'm really annoyed. And you know what? This moment is not going to come again. It's not. This moment with my kids isn't going to come again. This moment with my friends isn't going to come again. This moment with myself isn't going to come again. I'm going to be looking back on this one day, and this is forming who I am and who I become. How do I want to handle this? And for me, that's the better life is what is it going to feel like for me? Not what does it look like on the outside or anything like that, but genuinely I want to have a good time. I want to enjoy life even when there's difficult things. I want to see that it meant something, it helped me with something, and that I got through it. That's a big one.
that is. You got through it.
Yeah.
You did. Any last thoughts that you would want to leave with our folks today? That was incredible. That was incredible just
I
in and
know,
of
this
itself.
was so fun.
What, you want more?
I would definitely come back on. I would
Okay.
chat with you again. This was fun.
Yeah. So, is there any last thought that you have that you'd want to share with anyone?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
we kind of covered everything, and if people want to chat more, they can give you feedback and reach out and have more
Yeah.
conversations from there.
Yeah. Okay, good. This has been a wonderful experience. I truly do appreciate you taking the time, Ashana, for this. And thanks so much for being on Toward a Better Life today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I loved it.
That's our show for this week. Thanks ever so much to Ashana Kaiulani, as well as you for tuning in. And overall, thanks, Ashana, for helping us to understand a little bit more about resilience. There are links in the show notes to connect with and learn more about Ashana. And a very special thanks again to you, dear listener, for tuning in. Remember, if you're seeking insights and advice on how to create that better life for yourself, and if you'd like to dive into self-care, self-development, experience hypnotherapy or distant shamanic work or Reiki, do drop me a line, kevin@towardabetterlife.com, for your free discovery call. In the call, as I mentioned before, we can discuss your goals, set some plans for achieving those goals, and move forward with your own journey toward a better life. You can also visit my website, towardabetterlife.com, for past episodes, blog entries, ways to enhance your spiritual journey, and upcoming events. Please subscribe and follow Toward a Better Life through your favorite podcast platform, and do leave a review on Apple, Spotify, Overcast, whatever your podcast platform may be. Now, this helps to spread the word about the podcast and helps to create, well, a better life. Always remember, if you'd like to share your story, music, prose, or if you want to be my guest, please write to me, Kevin@towardabetterlife.com. Until next week, do enjoy your journey toward a better life.